Welcome to Gun Owners of America's State of the Second podcast. I'm Kailey.
And I'm John, and today we have a man who needs no introduction, the smallest man in the room, Adam Ruonala from CANiK USA. He was here for episode 2. He's back again. Adam, how are you today, my friend?
Man, I don't even know how to follow up that sort of introduction. You know, nobody ever references my size, so I appreciate you being an innovator in the path of podcasting. Thank you for that. I'm here.
I said you were small, so...
I know. I heard. I don't know if to be offended or flattered.
Looking to upgrade your everyday carry? Langdon Tactical takes factory firearms and turns them into precision-built tools you can trust.
From world-class trigger jobs to complete custom packages, every detail is built for smooth, faster, and more accurate performance.
Known for the legendary LTT Beretta 92, Langdon Tactical sets the standard in custom handguns.
Trusted by professionals and enthusiasts alike, Langdon Tactical delivers more than upgrades. It delivers precision-built confidence.
Learn more at langdontactical.com and use code LTTGOA for $100 off orders over $1,000.
We appreciate you coming back on. We're going to start with our first segment, which is rapid fire questions. This is a new segment. We're going to ask you 5 questions. You answer them how you see fit. So I'm going to give you the softball ones first because I guess on our panel, I didn't give you any softball questions first. We dove right into it.
Yeah.
So first softball question is, how do you take your coffee?
Oh, great one. I take it with 1 cream and the terrible thing you're not supposed to do anymore, like the sweetener, like not as sugar, like preferably sweet and low, 1 cream and a sweetener. And everybody's mad at me about it. I kind of get judged a little, especially with my size and the sweetener. But daddy likes a little sugar, you know? And you weren't ready for that. I'm ready. Let's go. I've got 3 coffees in on the way here. I'm ready to go.
So do you think you would survive a zombie apocalypse?
Great question. So everybody always says, where would you go? You know, that was a question. You know, people, I think the one that I really like is going like to the ocean. Maybe, I don't know if zombies can swim. I think they would just walk on the bottom. As long as I'm floating on the top, we're good. But my question or my response to them always is, I'm going to work. Think about what we do. Like, I'm going where there's guns, where there's ammo, and I'm gonna tap and rack. And then if I need to, guess what? I'm going to go get somebody's food. You know what I mean? I'm just being real with you. I'm going to go survive. That way, I'm going to work. I'm going to get my emails done. And then we're going to make sure that these zombies aren't coming in. And then I'm also going to put the treadmills around the building. Have you ever seen that meme? Where like the perfect zombie-proof thing, the treadmills around the building? I'm ready. I've thought this out.
All right. Since you are a man who is well-traveled, go-to place for food. Or go-to food order if you're out and about.
All right, 2 different things.
Yeah.
Place, like city, or like my favorite food dish?
Let's do both.
All right. City, best place for food overall in this country. I'd probably say, as much as I'm not a big fan of the city anymore, it's kind of grimy, New Orleans. Really good food. Really good food, and kind of like you can find all kinds of things. So New Orleans for food. Go-to dish. If I don't want to be bothered, I want to be left alone, I want a big old pizza with prosciutto, Italian sausage, and bacon. And if I'm getting really fancy, some truffle oil on it and a cold beer. If I'm going to be fancy, I want steak and crab legs.
That is fancy.
That's a good order.
Right? And some melted butter, obviously. You got to have the melted butter. Like, I want my heart to almost stop halfway through that meal, you know, and a good glass of wine.
How do you take your steak?
Medium rare.
Perfect.
Pittsburgh style with a little bit of sea salt on the side. Yeah, y'all weren't ready for this. I'm ready. Let's go.
So who is your most watched content creator in the 2A space?
Ooh, that's a good one. So if I had to say who I probably watch the most now, I did love Matt when Demolition Ranch. I enjoyed him. I liked the fact that he would kind of mix it up and have some fun with it too, as opposed to just always like there would be some technical information, but there'd also be that idea of that this is a hobby, this is something we love, and we're allowed to, as long as we're being safe, have some fun with it. But now that he's kind of ridden off into the sunset, I'd say probably I watch John a lot. I watch the 60-second gun review. I always want to see if he's talking trash about my product, and then I'm going to text him after that. But yeah, I like we don't have a lot of time, and also let's be honest, we've got the attention of goldfish now. Mm-hmm. So 60 seconds of throwing me everything that's coming out there is something I definitely kind of religiously stay tuned to.
Now you're giving Patton, it's going to get an ego. That's
Oh,
all right.
yeah, I don't think his head can get much bigger. Yeah. It barely fits in that van of his as it is. Hi, John.
Now that we did all the softballs, what is the next big innovation in our industry?
So I think, you saw on the pistol side, you saw everything shrink, kind of like what we were talking about off camera. And then you saw it kind of become more of a realistic, like it stayed slim, but it became more realistic. Then you saw everything go comps, even our prime. You saw, I think there's going to be more on finding that hybrid of all the bells and whistles of like what a Staccato did with that super polished frame and how easy it was, and you could air rack it and things like this. I think companies are going to have to put the everyday carry market into something that's going to be a little more well refined. I think you're going to have to. I think there's coming that you're looking at like Staccatos trying to build down a everyday carry. And then you've got things like CANiK, which are, doing stuff with flat triggers and ported and comp barrels. But I think the consumer doesn't have $2,500, $3,000 to spend on every gun they buy. But they also want some of these really cool race car features, is kind of like what I call them. And you got to find that middle. And I think everybody's going to be forced to kind of meet in the middle. The rising tide lifts all ships. And I think that's going to come with industrialization. I think the industry is starting to become more industrialized. And when you do that at a price and with the manufacturing and engineering technology that's now available, I think you're going to see some pretty cool collaborations, not intentionally, but you're going to see some kind of everybody's going to come and there's going to be some really cool feature sets available on guns at a price people can afford soon.
I'm excited for that. Now, let's go ahead and dive into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. First off, Adam, for the folks who are now just listening to this, didn't watch episode 2, shame on you. You should have. Go ahead and just give your title and who you are and what you do for CANiK.
Yeah, so I'm the Vice President of Business Development and Marketing for CANiK USA. We're based out of West Palm Beach, Florida. For those that aren't familiar with CANiK, we have become one of the largest striker fire pistol companies in the United States, originally out of Turkey. Grew from not even in the top 10 to now in the top 4. And we are fortunate enough to now have been able to invest in a 162,000 square foot facility in West Palm, where we're actually manufacturing the CANiK MC9 Prime there, and it's been a really exciting adventure to be a part of. And yeah, man, it's quite the journey, and I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to be the next day or what I'm going to be doing, but I found if you're wearing a lot of hats, they can't get rid of you as easy. So yeah, I'm just going to keep going.
So let's talk about the Prime, because we have one sitting here on the table in front of us. This is my personal Prime, which I love. It's my favorite carry gun, and I know that sounds like I'm kissing Adam's butt, but I'm not, because it is a great feature set. You're coming out with a gun that has literally everything. You talked about that innovation. So you've got the comp, you've got lightning cuts, great texturing, flared mag well, optics ready, 17+1, night sights from the factory. Sounds like I'm giving a review of this.
Yeah, I was like, man, you're making my job easy.
Yeah. So what we talked about the micro, and we also have the MC9 here, the GOA MC9, which is also, thank you for that. That was a great collaboration between both of us. But what we're seeing this transition again from the very little gun to these kind of, I don't know what to call them, because they're
practical. They're practical. They're
okay.
realistic, practical, So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I've never seen an industry that followed another industry as closely in terms of technological advancements and size as guns and cell phones. So you remember for a while it was like Blackberries. They were this big, bulky thing, but they could do a lot. And if you think kind of that's what pistols were for a while. They got big. They had this maximum capacity. They had all these kind of cool features, but they were just clunky. You're not carrying it. And then all of a sudden it went to like the flip phone, and then it shrunk. Then it was, let's see how small we can make a cell phone. That's what happened with the firearms industry. And some of the industry leaders, I would love to give credit to, like companies like Springfield Armory with, what they did, and SIG with the 365. They brought down this micro compact. That wasn't even a thing. A subcompact was where you were at. That was the smallest gun. And then this micro compact division came, and everybody shrunk. And we were a little bit behind it, but what we did is we said, all right, what features does the MC9 need that they don't have. And that was, like you said, the ability to co-witness, having an optics ready slide, capacity, all these kind of things. So we came out with our MC9 a little bit later. And at that time, then it kind of shifted back. Well, this is great, but it's not really practical. And the practicality of it is you want it to fit as many people's hands as possible, and to be something that not only do they can they become proficient in, which you can become proficient in, but they also enjoy shooting. Because the more you enjoy shooting it, the more proficient you're going to be. And that's when the reality came. All right, listen. The width, that 1 inch width, is kind of where everybody's trying to stay. But let's increase capacity with making the grip a little longer. We can put night sights on this. We can do the optics ready. We can make it co-witness. The trigger is important here, just as, if not more important, when you're learning, when you need to put a sight on target and do it quickly and proficiently. So that's what you saw. You saw the industry kind of scale back to that, and that's where the Prime came in. And we said, all right, let's look at doing some porting. Let's look at doing the aftermarket stuff. A lot of these people, this might be their first concealed carry gun, as that becomes a much more popular area for people to have that entry into firearms ownership. So we provided a G-code holster. We said it can be outside the waistband, inside the waistband, and it's also ambidextrous. We 3 sizes of backstrap so that it will fit anybody from your hand to my hand, and that's kind of where we are. And that's what a lot of the companies are doing now, is they're providing that value. And CANiK likes to look at it like, hey, we're going to continue to press that envelope and have a ton of value in the case. And hopefully you're seeing that with some of the other manufacturers too, because the reality is, while we're all competitors, we're in this together. And that's what you guys do such a good job of, is kind of incorporating the fact that we're all in this fight together. So whether they're carrying my gun or a Taurus or anything like that, I want it to be something that works, that's dependable, and ultimately can save your life in a situation if you need it.
One of the things that I love that you guys spend so much time thinking through is that first-time gun owner piece. I've talked multiple times on the podcast. If you listened a lot, I'm sorry to kind of rehearse old history, but I'll never forget going to my first concealed carry class and watching this poor person absolutely shrivel when everything that they were telling, this is what you need to carry for the reasons that she was wanting to carry, and her gun didn't fit any of the criteria, because clearly no one had ever had those conversations with her before. I love that you guys are thinking from the consumer standpoint. How do we continue to build an on-ramp so that people know day one, I'm ready to go? And I think that you guys have been an industry standout in being that lifeline for people who may not know anything, while still meeting every feature that a seasoned and lifetime gun owner would want to see as well.
Well, between you saying the feature sets, such expertise, and you saying such wonderful things, I don't even understand why I'm here. Like, this is brought to you by CANiK USA. Yeah. No, but it's a compliment, and it's something we've definitely accredited a lot of our success to. The reality is this: we've got 5 million new gun owners that came in during, over the last couple of years, with a lot of the panic that was in our country. And let's be honest, there's a lot of people that are worried right now with the current environment. I mean, what you saw unfortunately happen in Utah last week is the reality is there. There's always going to be a need for good guy with gun. And that's what we want to be. We want to provide the good guy with the gun that they can be proud of and that we can be proud of putting in their hand.
I'm proud to have one. So here's my question for you. We've got definitely 2 different flavors of gun sitting in front of us. When it comes to the Prime, it seems like it's got everything done to it. So the aftermarket kind of seems like it's and we're seeing a lot of companies do this, where everything is already on the gun and you're not having to spend extra money to get everything done. Is that on purpose, or just like, hey, we just wanted to make sure the customer got the best value for what they're paying for?
I think it's yes and yes. Obviously, as a business, you don't stay in business very long if you're not selling things and making money. It's a reality. But at the same time, features and benefits are something that companies should provide to the consumer. Gone are the days where a gun manufacturer tells the consumer what they want. Now it should be the consumer telling the gun manufacturer what they want. And that's in every business. That's not just guns. That's cars. That's restaurants. That's everything. So you have to provide that value. Like, you have to say, hey, we know that this is where the industry is going. This is what the consumers ask for. The trend's there. So we're going to provide that straight out of the box. And we're doing that. Last year I hinted on some stuff, so I'll give you a little hint now. We're looking to have at SHOT Show this year. There's some very big aftermarket accessories for some very big companies that have kind of really, jetted their way into the industry over the last couple of years. And we're working with them now to launch a new version similar to the Prime next year that will have some of those pricey aftermarket performance enhancing accoutrements, if you will, that will still come at a value that I think people are going to be shocked at. So we're always going to continue to push the envelope. We're very proud of the Prime. I very much appreciate you believing in it enough to carry it every day. That is the ultimate compliment. But we're going to find other things, how we can make a good thing better. And that's CANiK's commitment to growing. And that's kind of superior firearms is not superior. If you're not growing, you're dying. And we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to push the envelope, and hopefully everybody follows us.
Now, to stick on the Prime, this is your first USA-made base gun.
Yeah.
What is it like for a company that historically, and we'll go even back to Century, historically have been an importer to now invest the money and the time to bring everything into the United States and help with the economy down in Florida as well?
Yeah, so there's two parts of that. Obviously CANiK has been a very big partner of ours. CANiK and Century paired up in 2012. And it's out of Turkey originally. And the reality is there are some really bad examples of Turkish imports of firearms out there. And we all know it. But then there's companies like CANiK, which are standalone, not just in Turkey, but in the world. I mean, the level of technology they have there, the level of innovation, the level of pride they put into every product that goes out the door is bar none one of the most impressive things I've seen in any industry in my career. And they do such a good job that was no longer a barrier for a lot of consumers. Like, oh, it's Turkish, I can't buy it. They were like, man, CANiK's doing something amazing, and we're proud of this. I think they might have even led the way for some other Turkish manufacturers to get credibility. So for them to have grown enough to then be able to invest in new products and then to invest with Century Arms in CANiK USA is such a testament to kind of where it's gone and where it's going. We have over 100 employees now down there in West Palm Beach that are making the Prime every day, from CNC operators to quality control to front of the house accountants. I mean, it's amazing. And you walk in and there's pictures everywhere of the product, of the people. It's really cool to see in the facility. You also have the ambassadors that'll come over from Turkey and help, train new projects and stuff. And they're all wearing we have these CANiK jerseys and pants and stuff that they wear every day. And on the employees that are from the United States, they have an American flag on their sleeve. And the Turkish ones are wearing the same uniform, but they have a Turkish flag on their sleeve. And it's really cool. You'll go back there and you'll see 4 guys working, and there's 3 American guys huddled around a Turkish guy, and they're all in this kind of brotherhood of learning and innovating. And it's no longer like Turkey versus America, it's like Team CANiK. And it's really cool to see that and how this vision, this dream has brought us all together. And then finally, the ultimate reality is we don't know what the future is going to hold for firearms manufacturing in the world. And one of the easiest things that politics could play to kind of impede on our Second Amendment right would be to ban the importation of firearms, which can be done with an executive order stroke of a pen. That's crazy to me, but that's the reality. That's one of the ones that could happen very quickly. And so we knew we needed to have a strong presence in the United States in order to be able to continue with what our mission and our goal is, and that's to provide one of the best firearms in the country to American citizens. And now we can safely say we're going to continue to do that with our facility in West Palm.
That's exciting, and I'm so happy for you guys. And we've seen in the past where the USA arm of an overseas company seems to have issues getting product or making product because the other arm doesn't want them to do it or make it. You guys know who they are. They hate customers. Anyways,
the poors.
the poors. But Anyways, I love to hear the collaboration, and that is something that really speaks for the Second Amendment community or the firearms community. The Second Amendment is a very truly American thing. But to see the firearms community, both from overseas and from the U.S., coming together to build products, to make products for the U.S. market and for the U.S. consumer, I applaud you guys on that.
Thank you, brother.
While we're sitting here talking about other things that we applaud, we've got the GOA CANiK MC9 in front of us. This was a great collaboration, a great partnership working together on this. From your point of view, I mean, how do you think this turned out? I love the gun. I want to get your...
So obviously MC9, one of our best-selling guns we've ever had on the CANiK side. We talked about it and kind of the evolution that's so much going. It definitely is noticeable. It is colorful, to say the least. To the point where we even had to run through some legal, because we were like, people were like, looks like the Nintendo gun, like we were like, oh God, we're in trouble, but we were able to clear it, we were able to do it. And what I like about it from the color side is gone are the days that it's only acceptable to have a black gun. This is still a hobby as much as it's a right. And people need to realize that it's okay. If you want to have, we've done Miami Days and the Miami Nights. If you want to have something that makes you happy and that the colors in it expresses something like your support for GOA, that's okay. And that gun's going to run just as well, and it's going to be just as important in a tough situation and just as much fun on the range. So it was really fun to create something, to watch people when we were at Goals last year come by and be like, oh, this is awesome. I want this. We did 500 of them, and it was such a cool collaboration to be a part of. It was exciting. And honestly, that kind of really spurred CANiK's and Century Arms involvement and growth with GOA. And then even obviously like GOC. Right now we're in the process, we're giving away 25 guns. I think they're selecting the winners this week for Gun Owners of California, 25 CANiK MC9s, actually, ironically, that they're going to be giving away, and they did a fundraiser to help, obviously, to continue the good fight in California, which we found. We just launched CANiK in California April, and we found out just how much they need Gun Owners of America and Gun Owners of California there, from what we had to see.
Yes. Do you want to kind of go into the marketing campaign and all of the...
Yeah, we can. There's still some legal issues out there with it, but I don't know if our lawyer listens to the podcast, so it's okay. And hopefully he doesn't. So, hi, Anthony. But yeah, we decided we were going to come into California. They have the God-fearing, gun-owning Americans that are in California. While they might be behind a veil of ridiculousness, they still deserve to have quality guns at a price that they can afford. So we wanted to come in. So the first gun that was on the roster for us was the CANiK MC9. Now we have the L and the LS as well. But we launched a campaign, and I wanted to go much more aggressive. Anthony and team said you're going to slow it down a little bit, but we worked with iHeartMedia, ironically, one of the largest multimedia conglomerates in the world. We did a bunch of radio and digital podcast ads across the state, and then we also put up 187 billboards across the state of California that says CANiK comes to California. Just put a big old MC9 right there on the billboard. Put them everywhere from San Diego all the way up to San Francisco and Sacramento, and every city in between. Well, the city of Oakland decided that wasn't okay. And one of the greatest things about our country is that you don't necessarily have to agree with somebody, but as long as they're not hurting anybody, that's their right. Oakland decided that wasn't the case. So in the city of Oakland, there was actually a law that said not only do you have to have a special permit to sell guns, you have to have a special permit to advertise guns in Oakland. And nothing else. Not for any sort of narcotics, not for any sort of pornography, not for alcohol, not for any other restricted product line. Only for guns do you have to have a special permit to advertise. And they fought to the point of where the political pressure came in. Councilmen were arguing it, and they were talking about pressing charges against us, pressing charges against me, and then they ended up pulling down the billboards. in Oakland and pressured the billboard company enough that they pulled him down. And, instantly, Gun Owners of California and Gun Owners of America was like, hey, what do we need to do here? How can we support? To the point where actually I flew in, met with the team, and gave a speech at the annual event in Sacramento at Gun Owners of California about the fight and our time there and why we were going to continue to support it. And, I got to have dinner with Sam and obviously we knew each other well before that, but sit down with him. And that was the last time I broke bread with him, before he obviously passed away. I got to hug him at Goals and talk to him for a little bit. But to see the level of passion that were in those people inspired me to understand that just because the news might report that this is wrong and gun violence is the only thing that matters and this and all these kind of narratives that would make you think that people of California don't like guns, there was hundreds, if not 1,000 people in this room that were so passionate and so excited that were literally tears in their eyes when they're talking about how important it is. And politicians, the district attorney for the local county came up to me and was in support. And, major politicians were actually fighting the good fight. And so it was really exciting to see what started out so nasty ended up being like kind of the fuel that's going to continue to fire us up to support you guys. So, and obviously in somebody's name too, in Sam's name, we want to continue to fight the good fight.
Yes. Well, no one loved fighting behind enemy lines like Sam. And
with a smile on his face, like the sweetest destructive device you have ever seen in your entire life. Yeah.
Yes. And, this has been a difficult time for the GOA family and the firearms community. You knew Sam really well. So many people knew Sam. It feels really weird for us.
I just got chills a little bit. Yeah.
Not being able to talk to him. But the work that he spent his entire life dedicated to for over 40 years, he was lobbying behind enemy lines. That's not stopping. And we're very thankful. Rob Young just took over at GOC and is the executive.
Another beautiful human. Another beautiful. I couldn't think of a better person that I know in that organization that is as nobody's going to fill Sam's shoes. And Rob knows that, and Rob thinks that. But he's a great ambassador and a great next step. And I think Sam would be excited to see that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, I can't say that. This is very braggadocious, but I really do feel like we hire such quality humans because the fight is so important. And Sam was the best ambassador, and we got to learn at the hands of a master for a very long time. And I would have gladly taken 20, 30, 40 more years of that. But, we don't know the day or the hour.
Yeah. And I think that's, you talked about the quality of people that GOA surrounds themselves with. And from the present party included to a number of the individuals I've met, there's two things that stand out. One, like you said, character and resilience. And both of those are really important when you're fighting this fight. Because the reality is this, is you're constantly demonized and villainized. So you have to realize that that's just the strategy that people that don't actually have a real argument to make are going to make. They're going to make you the villain. And if you allow that to make you angry, you lose sight of what's important. And that is the fundamental properties of what make this country great. And the Second Amendment is such a big part of that. So if you let them sucker you in and become angry, you're going to lose focus. And you have people at GOA that stay the path and stay the faith. And Sam was probably the pinnacle of that example. And then secondly is the resilience. And that is, like you just said, Sam invested his life's work into this. And you look at it and you look at somebody like Rob. Obviously Rob's story is so not the narrative that anti-gunners want to use. And that's that he was a victim of gun violence as a child. As a child, he was shot in a school shooting, right? And then became a police officer, and then actually stopped a school shooter full circle as a police officer, right? And yeah. And so you look at somebody, that resilience, that commitment to staying the course and something that you believed in, not being shaken by one person's actions of evil, and understanding the importance of what you believe in, and that is the Second Amendment, is the key to, I don't know if we'll ever win the fight. You know, I'm just being honest. Like us, I hope so, but I don't know if we'll ever win the fight, and we no longer have to have this argument. But the only way we're gonna keep the levels somewhere in a way that actually still we have our rights is to have people like you guys and Rob and Sam continuing to have a smile on their face, continue to go and be resilient in how they defend the Second Amendment and the owners of firearms in this country, and do it with class and dignity. And that's why, honestly, I think the Gun Owners of America, I think the way you do it sets you apart from some of the other organizations that are out there. So now it's my turn to hype you guys. Yeah.
Full circle.
Yes.
Yeah, brought to you by Gun Owners of America. Yeah. But no, I mean it. I genuinely do. You guys are doing something very special, and I think we need it now more than ever, and we need it with compassion, because screaming across the lines isn't going to do anything.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, and thank you so much for the compliment. I mean, it's I've not been here nearly as long as some people going into year 7, but I'm still genuinely excited to go to work every day because I believe in the mission, and that's how everyone feels at the organization. And I think it's kind of like catching lightning in a bottle. And right now we get to carry a heavier mantle with Sam passing, but we are more invigorated to make him proud. And we're proud of our country. We're proud of the innovations coming from the firearms industry. We are proud to be on every line that is necessary in protecting the Second Amendment, from local municipalities to the state level to the federal level in the courts. And that's a big call to answer. And it's really exciting to see so many people like CANiK and like you as an individual support the mission, because there's so much work to do. And I would love, like you, to see us work ourselves into retirement. But until that day, we're just going to keep on keeping on.
Well said from both parties. I don't know what else.
Big contribution there, John. Thanks. John's like, hi, I'm Jeff. Yeah.
I realize that there are many choices when it comes to who you choose for your cell phone service, and there are new ones popping up all of the time. But here's the truth.
You won't find another cell phone service provider that does more to defend our Second Amendment right to bear arms than Patriot Mobile.
For more than 12 years, Patriot Mobile has been on the front lines fighting for our God-given rights and freedoms, while also providing exceptional nationwide cell phone service with access to all 3 of the main networks. Don't just take my word for it. Ask one of the hundreds of thousands of Americans who have made the switch and are now supporting causes they believe in simply by joining Patriot Mobile.
Switching is easier than ever. Activate in minutes from the comfort of your own home. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade.
Patriot Mobile's all U.S.-based support team is standing by to take care of you. Call 972-PATRIOT today or go to patriotmobile.com/GOA. Use the promo code GOA for a free month of service and 15% off every line. That's patriotmobile.com/GOA or call 972-PATRIOT and make the switch today.
Well, that leads into our next segment, even though we've already been spicy. That is from the soapbox. That's where we do our spiciest takes, talking about the government and everything like that. So, do you have a spicy take that you'd like to stand on your soapbox for there, Adam?
Well, spicy takes are dangerous when it comes to me. My spicy take is this. it's really relevant. I don't know when this is going to air, but I think what I've seen in the last week in regards to, am I allowed to talk? I mean,
Absolutely.
Charlie Kirk, spicy take is, if you as a human being, and then take it down 1,000 feet as an American, think it's okay to celebrate somebody's death because they believe differently than you, then there's a special place in hell for you. That's as spicy as I like. I don't care if that's who that offends. There's some politicians out there that I absolutely detest in this country. I think they are evil. Just be honest. There's no way in a million years I would wish death upon them. So that's the first part of it. The second part is, to even more detestable than that is the way the media and people take things out of context to support an agenda. And what you're seeing, like in the aftermath of this atrocity that is his assassination, you're seeing them take sound bits like we're doing right here and showing half of it, and then trying to destroy a man's legacy and a reputation by only telling partial points or to serve an agenda. I challenge everybody on both sides, before you make an opinion. One of the most powerful things about the freedoms that we have in this country that are protected by the Second Amendment is your ability to make your own decision. And if you're going to make your own decision, don't let an Instagram thread tell you what you believe. Do your research. Do your research on everything, on both sides of the agenda. You're allowed to not agree on everything Republican or everything Democrat. You're allowed to be a libertarian. Hell, you're allowed to not vote if you don't want to. That's what makes this country great. But make your mind up on your own. And I think that is what it is right now. We're seeing an attack on people's minds right now. And that's how they're trying to shift the narrative. And the fact that they're trying to say, things about like, oh, Charlie said, there's an acceptable level of gun violence, and how ironic is it that he did? That's not what he said. What he said is, let's be real. There's never going to be zero gun violence in this country, because there will always be bad guys with guns. And as long as there's bad guys with guns, to take the guns out of good guys' hands is irresponsible and unlogical. Use the full quote if you're going to try to attack this man post his life, posthumanist. So that's my spicy take right now is what's happening in the world today, and the catalyst that caused this is crazy.
I think Charlie put it best when he said that when we stop communicating and talking to each other, that's when violence starts. And to take those quotes, and as both of us are on multiple shows or on GOA, that's always a fear, is that someone's going to take your quote and use it against you. But listen to the full quote, listen to everything, and like you said, make up your own mind, because there's so much out there. And you said it earlier as well, is that we are such a goldfish brain, quick, instant gratification, dopamine hit. Don't go for the instant, go for the long term. Learn and educate yourself, and take the time to watch the full video or watch the full thing, or do research. Just take the time to do the research, because even a tweet is so many letters, an Instagram post is so much time. Don't take the 30 or 60 second soundbite. Go in and find the full thing and actually listen, and then have a conversation. Have a conversation.
It's okay to not agree.
Yeah.
It's okay. I guarantee you, if the three of us spent the rest of the day together, there's going to be at least one or two things we don't agree on. And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay not to want to own a gun in this country. It's okay. That is your right. But do the research, understand what it is, understand what an AR actually means, understand that it's not a 100-round magazine clip. Understand, like, if you're going to talk responsible, talk informed, or be willing, if somebody's going to correct you, to understand, process, and then digest that information. And that's back to Sam. That's what Sam did so well. Sam was so knowledgeable, so passionate, but he always did it approachable. And he would let somebody argue with him, and then he would give his thoughts on it and usually back it up with facts and data. And then at the end of the day, if you don't agree, that's okay. But at least you were human enough and American enough to sit there and have a civil conversation. We got to get back to that.
No, I couldn't agree. Long gone are the days where we used to, it was, I don't agree with you, you don't agree with me, but we're still friends, let's have a beer. Now it's, you said something on Facebook, I don't like that, we're no longer friends. Canceled completely. And we need to get back to that. And I also want to touch on a point where it wasn't just 5 years ago or 6 years ago that we went through the largest shift in gun ownership in a very long time. And we went from the shift from I don't want a gun or I don't need a gun. Oh, wait, well, I need something to protect myself.
You're calling your neighbor that all of a sudden was the gun guy in the neighborhood. What should I get, right? Yeah.
And we saw this shift, and then it kind of plateaued. And then, as any spike does with the industry went down. But it seemed nobody learned anything from that.
Well said.
It just, we went from people going, well, I need to take this into my own hands, and now, well, guns are bad again. Well, then what changed your mind from 2020 to 2022?
Well said.
And
I think it is, unless it's directly in their face, unless that imminent danger is outside their door, then it's the whole mindset of this doesn't affect me directly. And what people need to understand is it's better to have it and never need it than need it
and not have it.
And that's the reality. This isn't a power play. This isn't an intent to commit evil. This is the great equalizer. I mean, that's what it is, you and I get into an argument. Unfortunately, my size helps me to physically potentially overpower you and control the situation. What that does is the reality of the damage that I can cause hopefully squashes the conflict, and it never comes to that. But if it is, and I'm intent on doing something, this gives you a chance to defend yourself. And that's been from ages. That was swords. That was everything. Like, there's always got to be something that is the great equalizer. And we've come to a point where we realize that a firearm is just that. And I don't think anybody should be ashamed of that or scared of that. It's a mentality. It's a mental thing. And I'd say 99.9999999% of gun owners in this country, especially legal gun owners, are good, honest, God-fearing people. Whoever their God is and whatever, honestly, and I'm okay with that. That's what makes this country great. It's that segment of mental instability that people focus on to try to take away a right, an alienable right from the rest. And we got to continue to fight for that.
Yeah. The biggest, and I think the scariest thing is, we just witnessed, what was it, 3 weeks ago, when a almost vice president, current Senator Tim Kaine, gets on the Senate and says that, oh, no, there are no such thing as inalienable rights. Your rights come from the government. We decide what rights you have. And if someone who thinks like that has the ability to convey that on the Senate floor in Senate records, and there's no back and forth conversation of, hey, you may need to go back to, 8th grade civics class, or you may need to, just, I don't know, read the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence or the Federalist Papers or literally any founding father.
Anything that this country was founded on as a whole. Yeah.
It's pretty easy for you to find the information. But when ideology rewrites history, when it changes the narrative to a point where you're listening to somebody's remarks in the Senate floor and you're sitting there going, am I living in 1984? Is there a ministry of truth just changing stuff behind closed doors?
It's treasonous almost. I mean, it really is.
It really is. It gets to that point. And it's vital that when people come into our fold that may disagree with us, that may have a revisionist history, that we educate them in a way and we push back and demand that the facts come to light, that there's sunlight that disinfects all of the craziness that is happening. That's how we preserve the Constitution. That's how we preserve our rights.
Yeah.
If you look at so much of our court cases are founded on the text, history, and tradition. When we're looking from a Second Amendment preservation standpoint, we can't let comments like that go unanswered. We have to insist on the education being correct, because anybody can reinvent something, but we stand on principle.
Predefined principle.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't your opinion. This isn't John's thought. This isn't what Sam said. I think we'd like this. This is what our country was founded on. This is what our men and women have died for, defending. And it's proven that these ways of thinking, these ways of believing, have the opportunity to make your country the greatest country in the world. We've thrived on these as our core foundations. So why, in any insanity, would we ever go away from things that have been proven to be the pillars of an amazing society?
I mean, to add something in, I don't know if you guys saw the news in England, where, everybody's seen that England is going after people for the thought police, for saying stuff. They just big protest. Did you see all the?
Yeah.
Because again, the same thing. I don't know their constitution or their rights as well as ours. But again, they're standing up for their rights, and just from him saying that, that's just telling me that the left is leaning towards taking away our fundamental rights and attacking us on all levels for their own personal gain.
Levels of patriotism are being attacked. Flying a flag, flying your country's flag. And we saw that during the last election, unfortunately. People were saying they were triggered by the American flag. Think about this. There was government enforcement to certain levels, not extremities. I can't speak to it, same as you, in England, about people flying the flag, the country's flag. You take away somebody's ability to have patriotism, like, what else is left? Then you're taking away guns. You're taking away freedom of speech. You're taking away the ability to have your own thoughts. I mean, it really is. I think it's very important that we realize there's a massive difference in terms of freedom of speech. The last little spicy take of, I think you're allowed to have an opinion on anything. I think when your opinion celebrates violence and crime, I think that's when you go over a line. I think if you have a religious disbelief or a fundamental core belief about something that is how you live your life, I think it's okay to speak that out, even if I don't agree with you. I think when you celebrate the idea that you were violated, whether it's to the point of your life taken or you're harmed in any way, when I celebrate that and I'm a proponent of that, that's when I think people don't understand the difference. Oh, well, yeah, all these people are getting fired because they celebrated Charlie Kirk. You're not getting fired because you voiced an opinion. You're getting fired because a privately owned company says you are an advocate of crime, and we do not morally align with that.
Well, I think that this gets into a much larger conversation.
Yeah, 7 more hours of podcast for that.
So yeah, but I guess to kind of give the cliff notes on my takes, and I'll try to have a stopwatch or something. I think there's a couple of things. One, actions still have consequences regardless. And that doesn't matter if it's the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the First Amendment. It doesn't matter. Actions have consequences. That's reality. Beyond actions having consequences, not all speech is free speech. Like, for example, defamation, fraud, those things are not protected because they cause significant harm and are criminal.
They're a catalyst. Yeah.
The same way that, if you are a violent criminal, you don't have a Second Amendment right. There are limitations. And while there's definitely different states and governments that take things to extreme, we can all agree that there are certain caveats where not all speech is protected speech.
You're going into the yelling fire in a crowded theater theory.
Yeah.
Assault and battery.
Or doxing someone's home address. Like, there are certain things that we can just all agree as a polite society are unacceptable.
Did you know the difference? I just found this out the other day. A friend of mine, she's the district attorney in West Palm Beach, Florida, and we were out hitting some golf balls, and she said, "Do you know the difference between assault and battery?" I didn't know this. So battery is if I physically put my hands on you and cause them. Assault is an intent. If I tell you I'm going to punch you in the face, that's assault. I did not know that, because at that point you've implied violence. You've made a threat. That is not protected. So if you're out there saying, I'm celebrating the death of this man, you're celebrating violence. You're on that gray area of what are your intent here? So yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think people are overly entitled to create chaos when we should be overly passionate to create a sense of community again.
I couldn't have said it better. We as a community need to come together and just have conversations and talk and just be together. I mean, I don't know when the cultural shift happened, but I remember when growing up in the 90s that you'd have block parties and you get together as a community and hang out and you do stuff. And now I know one of my neighbors.
Social media, man.
Yeah.
I think it's social. That's when the shift happened, in my opinion. You look at it, it was gone are the days of the only way you found out what your neighbor was doing is you met them in their yard. Now you add them on Facebook, you watch them, you resent them because everything looks like smiles, or that's like, you don't feel like you have to have interaction to know who people are. You think social media is going to tell you who they are. That's my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll be on Instagram in 20 minutes. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite of it. I'm just saying our society has changed like that.
No, I mean, I agree. Everything seems curated, right? And I think that's another reason why it's important for us to protect the community of the Second Amendment, because I feel like we're one of the last few communities that involvement happens at a range. Like, you're actually interacting with people. When you're getting training, 90% of the time, I hope more than 90% of the time, it's not an online video walking you through it. It's face-to-face interaction. And I think that is one of the reasons why when something like COVID happens that disrupts the space, firearm sales spiked so much. Yeah. It's because, one, we were essential, and rightfully so. But two, when people are scared and they didn't know who to turn to and every other area was blocked off, the gun store became that one quote unquote safe space for community, for interaction, for training, where you were able to feel a part of something and feel empowered, feel in control of the ability to protect yourself and your family.
When all the chaos surrounds you, you can at least right your ship. Look at us. We brought it back. We went on a tangent there and brought it back. One more thing to the social media side. As gun owners, as people that are passionate about the Second Amendment, I think it is our responsibility. As a company, we even do this. If you look at our posts, engage these people, but don't take the bait. Do it like Sam did. Do it with class, do it with resilience, and stick to the facts. And, like right now, with all, like, you're seeing all these posts online that are relevant with what you're seeing. When you see a school shooting, and these people, they're passionate. Some of them they're not looking to take your guns. They just don't know what the answer is. So they're going to make a statement because, like you said, another part of our conversation, they have that goldfish interpretation. They saw a 30-second soundbite on something. They're passionate. They're desperate for these problems to stop. So They have to do something. They have to post something. We need more gun regulation in this country. Have a conversation with them. Talk to them. Don't get angry. And if somebody else comes into the comment section and starts egging you on, don't engage them. Focus on who you're trying to talk to and understand that you might not convince them to be a gun owner, but offer him, hey, you know what? Come to the range with me. Like, let's go check it out, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, if you don't like shooting and you still don't think it, I'll still buy you lunch and we'll drop it and we'll talk about something. But engaging with our neighbor, doing it in a positive manner, understanding that sensationalism is the name of the game now, and not necessarily being mad at them for making an initial statement, but being compassionate towards them. And a lot of the time, it's probably coming from a good place. They're desperate. They don't understand. Be that light. Be that sunshine that disinfects. Be that ambassador. And honestly, continue to fight the good fight.
I couldn't have said it any better.
I don't know how we brought it all back together, but we did. We did. Yeah.
It's almost like we're be professionals, guys.
But we're passionate about this. So it is easy to go off on a tangent. Mm-hmm. But the only way, that's what they want. That's what people that are trying to take our rights away. And that's why in organizations like Gun Owners of America, where you're so focused every day for the last 7 years, you got up and were excited to go to work, but your work wasn't, you're going to go make hamburgers. And the next week it was going to be fishing lures. Your work every day is to fight for the rights of Americans to continue to own and operate firearms in this country. And we need organizations like you, and we need that focus internally, or we're gonna lose the fight, and we can't.
Well, I think to your point of, Americans looking for somebody to look to, even outside of just the gun orgs in general. One of the ways that the line of attack is they view the Second Amendment community as a monolith. We're all the same.
Yeah.
We've heard the mantra, the firearms industry is just old white guys and all of these various aspects. But the truth is that's not the case. It hasn't been the case. And we're seeing the trends continue to go with more female gun ownership, more minority gun ownership. And that means that we have to engage in different ways. And it also means that we as an organization and as a community have to ensure that that gun store and that range become a sacred space and remain a sacred space where everybody is welcome, and where we can be true ambassadors for the Second Amendment, regardless of any type or pressure that the media and social media wants to tell us is behind that counter.
Yeah, 100%. Inclusion. Really, inclusion here is what it's a community. And yeah, I again, what you've been saying, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's about realizing we're all in this together.
I just want to know where they're making hamburgers and fishing lures at the same time. I'm sorry.
All that's what you retained. Yeah. That's why we put you in the middle. We put you in the middle to keep you from bumping your head too much. Like, we're just proud. He didn't even have to wear his helmet today. No. It's like a make-a-wish for you. This is a big deal for John. So,
it really is.
Yeah.
No, sorry, my ADHD.
I also have no idea where the hamburger is. I think that 5th cup of coffee just kicked in, and yeah, squirrel.
It sounds dangerous.
Hey, God forbid they actually put the fishing lure between 2 loaves of bread. Yeah, sounds like a lawsuit. Sorry, Anthony. Yeah.
Anyways, I needed to laugh for a second. No, I couldn't have said it better.
Yourself.
Back on track. Yeah, myself.
We should have a counter in the corner. For how many times.
It's a drinking game for the listeners. There's 7 shots of whiskey in at this point.
Listen, sometimes
you can't say it better yourself.
Can't say it better yourself. Sometimes you just don't know what else to say. It just comes out. Anywho,
yeah.
Let's get. No, I think. I don't know what to think anymore.
Said it better myself. Yeah. So all right. So you gave me some 5 questions. You gave me a chance to go on a tirade. We've talked about CANiK. Is there anything on a personal level or anything that you guys want to know about CANiK or Century that between last time I was here and this time Nothing off limits. What do you want to know?
What we already hinted at something. We're not going to ram it home, but there's my.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, that's my pun for the day. If you haven't caught on, that's what I did last time too.
Easter eggs.
Little Easter eggs. What does the future hold from your guys' point of view with the current administration pushing on the tariffs?
It gets me a little choked up.
Yeah.
The tariffs have been a hard situation. I don't think people understand, from our competitors to us to kind of the industry as a whole, the margins on firearms are actually not large. Accessories, there's a little more margins, kind of like cell phones. People don't, the companies don't make a ton of money on cell phones. Companies don't make a ton of money on guns. If you want to buy a holster, there's obviously more margin in it, soft goods, things like that. So when you have something like, for instance, Turkey, 15% tariff, that tariff eats the margin. So you're also still looking at a time where there's a lot of economic uncertainty in this country. So now people are a lot more price sensitive in terms of anything they're purchasing, especially a gun. So how do we find that middle line? You can't go up in price, because then you price yourself out of the consideration of the new product. And you can't go down in price because there's no margin left. So it's been tough. I have a theory. I think I'll give it a first take. This is a big one. I think it'd be a very interesting dynamic if Trump utilized what he's doing with the tariffs to get trade better for the United States around the world. Got that ready, got that done, and then has been collecting this tariff money, gets the feds to lower the interest rate, which we need desperately, and then next year gave some of the tariff money back, reinvested that money back to the businesses as refunds, which then you'd see a large cash flow, which then you see firearms companies have the ability to invest to manufacture new products, innovation, tooling, more jobs, things like that. If something like completely speculative, but I could see him, he's the kind of guy that would pull some stuff like that. And, I told you so, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to do the best, greatest tariff refund in the history of the world. I suck at Trump impersonation, but I said bestest, greatest, so you knew where I was going with it. But I could see something like that happening. If that'd be a windfall of opportunity for our industry and for industries across the board. If something like that were to happen, it'd be magical. If it doesn't happen, the tariffs don't go away, it's going to be tough. I'm just speaking really candidly, because, we want to, and not just the gun industry. I mean, in water bottles, in furniture, in gas, there has to be a point where enough's enough. So I'm very curious to see what happens. The tariffs have been tough. We're continuing to fight. We're finding ways to streamline, to industrialize, to bring down cost. That's what's nice about having CANiK USA now. The prime is obviously not affected by the tariff. But yeah, I think it's tough for everybody. I think there's price increases happening right now. But it's just the reality of the world we're in. There has to be corrections. And this is one of them. And unfortunately, we're all kind of feeling the effects of it.
My next question. The $0 tax stamp. Will we see more NFA items coming from Century?
That's a great question. Yeah. So, man, that was a really good question. So I will say this. CANiK and US Palm, which are both companies under the umbrella, are keeping a new product launch very, very quiet right now. But in the next couple months, there's going to be some big releases on some very quiet products. So that's going to happen. Also, we've got some other very unique products that we'll be launching next year at SHOT Show as well on the Century and the US Palm side that are going to be filling or stepping into probably the largest firearms category that's out there.
Can I throw in a request? I know you could
Bring it. Let's go. I opened this up.
We know that you do the SD with the fake can.
Mm-hmm.
That is a request.
Yep.
2-stamper.
Yep.
Don't have to confirm. Just,
No.
Just throw it out the request.
It would be remiss of us not to if we're trying to keep things quiet.
Yes.
So there's a lot of cool stuff there. We'd be dumb not to. And with the level of innovation that CANiK brings, there's going to be some really cool opportunities there. And with the level of kind of what the U.S. Palm brand was created back, Brandon and those guys back in Arizona years ago, the passion that they had is finally coming to fruition with some cool innovations that were coming out there that'll really stay true to that edgy kind of grunt style product lines that we think are going to be very well received by the U.S. market. And it's going to be cool to see products of ours that are competing against some of the biggest names in the industry on probably other outside of handguns on the best-selling platform in the industry.
And then one more Century side. Do you think, as of right now, the way the market is, that surplus is done?
No. I think it's more unique now. I think it's harder to find. I think if there is an opportunity as a consumer, if you've always wanted this Mosin Nagant or something like this, or this whatever your the Star pistol, whatever it may be, that was something that you've always thought was cool. I think if you see it and you can afford it, buy it now, because I think it's shrinking, but it's not dead. It's not dead. We just found some cool stuff. I mean, obviously we brought in 64,000 G3 rifles that we can run in those as CA3. Those were amazing. That was a cool thing. It was a very big part of heritage and history of military history. We've got some other really cool stuff that's about to come in. It's just harder and harder to find. Where Century Arms was like the leader in that for so long, they're still out there. We got teams all over the world scouring the world still, but it's not like you just open a warehouse door and there's a bunch of stuff anymore. Like you're digging through things to find it. So if you are passionate about it and you see something you want and you can afford it, get it now. It's not gone. There's still hope, but it's definitely not going to be just every day out there, pumping out, thousands of AKs out of a barrel for $50 a piece anymore. Gone are those days, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I've heard from other people that it's more unique stuff. I saw some French pistols have hit the market recently and some things like that. So let's see. Well, you guys already you've done the MP5 or this. Yeah.
I mean, that is an
AP5.
MP5. You're allowed to say. I mean, it's not only as an MP5. The AP5 is the only roller delay blowback firearm in the world manufactured in a military facility, MK in Turkey, that is actually licensed by HK on original tooling, original technical data package, original metallurgy, everything else. So it is an MP5.
And then you did the one in 5.56, which I can't remember the name off the
53.
Top. The 53.
Yeah, the AP53. We have the 308, which is the AP51. We did the SD, and we've just launched some with the old naval handguards, the Navy handguards. So those are pretty cool too. And we've got some cool new stuff working with MK currently that hopefully we'll have some of it at SHOT Show as well. So we're going to continue to bring some of these iconic platforms to light at an approachable price. But that's not surplus. It's just kind of like retro builds or however you want to call it. But yeah, those are doing it. And why, you got something else in mind that you want?
No, not from that side.
I want an MP7.
I do want an MP7.
I want an MP7. That's all and everywhere I go in the world, they're like, can we build you anything? I'm like, yes, MP7. They're like, oh, like just make it look like I want an MP7. So that's my dream gun. All right, I got one for y'all before we're done. Dream guns. Like the dream gun that you still want, dream gun that you own.
Oh, shoot.
All right. Yeah, rapid fire.
Okay.
Y'all want to play? Now we're playing.
Dream gun that I still want, because I'm a kid of the 90s. I want a P90.
That's my dream gun that I own.
I need to actually go buy one. Dream gun that I want is I would like, and I guess this is a batch of guns. It's not one, but a batch of guns.
Spoken like every true gunner,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
I would like somebody to come out with, because retro and historic stuff is hot right now ish. I would like to kind of twofold. I'd like somebody to come out with either some like a Sten gun or some like a grease gun or a
Grease gun would be cool.
grease gun would be dope. M1 Garand, anything like a Luger, anything like that would be cool because it's just different. And then I would like to also see somebody do a modernized Browning high power. That's not the F1N1 because that doesn't count because that's not modernized. It's not truly a Browning high power, and I will die on that hill. But I want like a optics ready, and I know there's
Optics ready, high power.
optics ready, bigger beaver tail, tack rail, great trigger, high power because I'm a high power nerd.
Interesting. What about you?
Okay, so I'm not nearly as cool as y'all. I own actually very few firearms, so I'm the outlier because I've worked in a nonprofit my entire career, so I am the poorest. My dream gun is a Barrett 50 cal.
That's a good one. I'm not mad at that. Yeah.
I think that there's something. First of all, I think it's really cool. Secondly, I think there's something comical about the gun being taller than me, and it is significantly.
When she shoots it, she actually goes farther than the bullet in the opposite direction.
She did shoot it. I have video proof of this.
Yes.
She shot Mr. Big Kid's Barrett in
Yes.
Tennessee. She
There's a
just
picture. There's a
fly that far
picture.
back.
There's a picture of me holding it, and it's like, it's comical.
That's awesome.
And I don't know. There's something about that in my height that I just it just endears me to it. And then my dream gun that I now own is actually a family heirloom,
What is it?
and it's my grandfather's Colt revolver.
Oh,
And so that will always stay at the top of my list. I don't see anything ever beating that out. I will.
yeah, that's. You want to reply to that? What did you say there?
That sounds.
You know what you need to say. Say it, John.
I couldn't see it better myself.
Yeah, thank you. Mine would be, obviously, I have my P90. It's my favorite that I own. And outside of the MP7, the one I want is actually kind of as a throwback, too. So, and the person that I know that owns the most of them is Jamin from Palmetto State Armory. I want a Liberator. Have you ever seen the Liberator?
The
little stamped one. And
Yes.
it was actually made by, I think it was made by like Ford Motor Company, the same
GM.
one. GM, that's right. And they also did the grease gun.
Yeah.
It was stamped metal. But you know, the whole thing with the Liberator, they dropped them over Nazi-occupied Germany and the other places. And it was an opportunity for the Equalizer. And it was, the little box with the pamphlet said, take back your country. Here's 3 rounds of 45. Here's how you load it. Protect yourself. And don't be a victim. And I just love that story. I love the thought of it. It preaches to everything. Nobody wanted war. Nobody wanted violence. But when backed into a corner and the wolves are there, the only thing that's going to keep them at bay is if you have the ability to equalize it and to liberate yourself. And I just love that gun. I love the story behind it. And I got to have one. I'm going to pressure Jamin into giving me one, or I'm going to steal one from him. I don't know yet, but I think I just confessed to a planned crime. Yeah. So sorry, Anthony. Yeah. So, but no, that's my dream gun.
That is such an odd but cool dream gun. The Liberator is probably the worst gun you could ever own.
Yeah.
But also the cool, no rifling.
Yep.
You had a rod that came with it to punch the shell out.
Yep.
The whole idea was to walk up behind a Nazi and take their stuff.
Yeah. To eliminate the threat and take their stuff.
And they dropped thousands of them, but nobody has any confirmed.
Jamin has 5 of them.
How did he get 5? I
don't know.
I've seen one at a gun show. Let me go back. I saw one at a gun show. It was $5,000. I was on We Like Shooting with Sean, and they do gunfights on their show where we go Gunbroker. There was one on Gunbroker, and I was like, "This thing's $5,000." That's what I guess. I'm like, "This is less." It sold for $1,100.
I think I would have bought it for $1,100.
I would have bought it for $1,100 if I saw. I was like, "There's no way." And Nick was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No." The last time I saw one, it was fine because
Gun show prices can get a little ridiculous.
But
sometimes.
there's not. They made a ton of them, but very few survived because they just took them and scrapped them. They were like, "Oh, nobody wants this.
Yeah.
This was all it is."
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to shoot it. I think it would make me a little nervous to shoot this pot metal stamped.
You know who shot one?
Who?
Keith Ford.
Really?
Yes, Keith Ford had because he works for Rock Island Auction now. He shot one. He has a video of it, and I asked him, "I'm like, how does it shoot?" He goes, "It is the worst shooting thing I've ever shot.
Probably hurt.
It hurts. It's like do you remember the company that did this the 7.62x39?
The little pistol thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it was an AK. Yeah, I do remember that.
That was awful to shoot.
You shot that?
Yes. I shot it once and never wanted to shoot it again. It's the same.
Have you shot the 50 cal pistol that everybody does? Like they put the 50 cal rifle round in it, and it's like I see them at like these events sometimes.
No,
but it's like basically just like a little tube, and I'm like, I'm good. I think I'm good on that.
I went to go.
That's what I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you that.
I would.
That's a single shot too. Yeah. That's definitely protecting people from doing just that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to.
It'd be like Elon would be like, "Did we launch a rocket?"
Gold Range Day, I went to the Bond Arms booth to go shoot the 4570. It was unfortunately broken when I went to go shoot it, but they have a 4570 single shot Derringer.
Jesus.
And people were walking by, and I ran into somebody, and I'm like, "You're bleeding." They're like, "Yeah, I shot the 4570 Derringer, just hammer bite to the back of
Oh my goodness.
the thing, and just cut their hand open." It's a great gun. Gordon, you're great. But yes,
That's definitely a novelty.
it's a novelty.
As it is a novelty. But so I'm a deliberator, same thing. I want it for the history of it. So yeah.
So on that
I think
note,
there's something. Sorry, I
Go,
want to
go,
make this
go.
one comment. I think that there is something really awesome about people wanting these legacy guns and having a desire to preserve that history. Because if we lose the history, we're in such a bad shape as a country and as a society.
What is it, the old line? If those who forget history are damned to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
on that note, Century Arms will be coming out with all these things at some point. Adam,
Sorry, Anthony.
a lot of the day. I couldn't have said it better myself.
There you go.
There you go.
Ding, 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 ding. We just hit 25 quotes. Yeah.
Please do not edit in a counter on this episode.
Oh, that'd be so good.
I'll pay extra
Yeah.
out of my own money.
Yeah.
Great. So, Adam, where can people find you? All that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we have all the social platforms, CANiK USA, CANiKUSA.com, CenturyArms.com, USPalm.com, and then the respective social media platforms for that. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to us directly. We've got a team that's always there for if you have any questions. If you see me out, please feel free to come up and say hi. And yeah, just like if I could leave people with anything to kind of remember us by, it wouldn't be anything because, John already said it better himself. So.
Well, it does help that you are one of my favorite human beings.
Ditto.
We had a great time hanging out at SHOT Show. He also played a trick on me at SHOT Show. Or no, it wasn't you, it was Finch. Finch played a trick on me and told me Adrian was there, and I ran into his twin. Nobody told me he had a twin.
We have identical twins over here. Yeah.
And then I went to go give Alex, right?
Yep.
Alex a hug, and he goes, "I don't know you." And I'll go, "Adrian, you know me." And he goes, "No, I'm Alex." And I'm like, "What?" And it blew my mind for a whole day. And then I felt terrible.
I mean, a lot of people walk around hugging random men.
All the time. What do you mean? That's SHOT Show.
Yeah, that is SHOT Show. Yeah. Well, guys, honestly, thank you for having me. I came here specifically to do this because I think what you guys are doing is important. I think the way you do it's important. I think the message needs to be out there. And, CANiK, Century, myself personally, will continue to support you in any way we can. And obviously the listeners and those that are in this fight with us together.
Comment down below if you want us to do another GOA CANiK. I'm trying to peer pressure here.
We're in. I think it's important.
By the way, Adam, thank you again for being on. As a thank you from Palmetto and AAC Ammo, you will be getting a gift for our guests. That is new for this season, so they will be sending you out a awesome gift for being on the show with us.
I like gifts. Is it a Liberator?
Cameron, can you make that happen?
Come on, Cam.
Somebody called you.
Yeah.
I'm in so much trouble for this.
I'm okay. Everybody the rest of the season gets Liberators.
Sorry, Shaman, I guess. Adam's
Most expensive sponsorship they've ever done. Yeah. Yeah. But no, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the State of the Second podcast. If you have not liked, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and leave a 5-star review on the podcasting platforms, it helps us out tremendously. We'll see you next week.
Bye now.